Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Let's go to the Kupiansk region at first. There the situation intensified because Russia strikes every day, but we have some of the awesome news. The good thing that Ukraine was capable to repel the largest Russian attack probably in this war. About the place, well, it happened somewhere over here in one of those Russian attack directions. We even have the video here on the channel. I may only show you the screenshots. Well, I'm still waiting for the full version of the video because this one is edited, but we may clearly see the Russian vehicles, also the Hungary tanks which Russia used in every of their assaults. And here our guys, mostly from the border security services, who were able to stop the Russian offensive. Yes, their unit is located near Kupiansk. There are also some of the fighting images, but I may show you it in blur only. But at the same time, Russians were able to propel yesterday, so attack was stopped probably in other direction, or maybe we have just received the data about this Russian offensive which happened a couple of days ago, because we have the delay in this deep state military map for around 1 maximum 2 days, well, sometimes more, but it happens rarely. Well, even though Russia lost many of the vehicles during their attack, still they have the resources, and for them it doesn't really that matter. We know that Russia obtains the help from its military ally like North Korea or sometimes even Iran. Just for you to understand, 50% of the Russian artillery shells are made in North Korea, so it allows them to make the firewalls against the Ukrainian army, and also they use the aviation gliding bombs as usual for that purpose. Ukraine unfortunately doesn't have those tools massively. I just can't imagine what could happen to Ukrainian army without the drones. The FPV drones is the only option for Ukraine to kick the Russians army ass. Yes, we also have artillery, aviation and infantry forces, but those are much less compared to the Russian army. The only option for Ukraine is to use drones massively, and that helps, because yesterday the massive Russian attack was stopped. Guys, by the way, if you want to support the job that I do daily on YouTube, you may do it on Patreon. I'll put the link for my Patreon page right in the video description below. Thank you so much for your kind support. To use the Ukrainian Air Force more effectively, Ukraine absolutely should demolish the Russian air defense systems, like for example this one was demolished in Tokmak some time ago. As you can see, Russians hesitated to collect their scrap metal, and that is why it's like a memorial in the memory of the crew of this air defense system. It's S-300, which was hit by the HIMARS MLRS. Since it's not that far away from the road, occupiers put the Soviet flag and the Russian flag out there, and also many of the flowers. How many of those scrap units in occupied Ukraine, demolished tanks, infantry vehicles, demolished air defense systems and many more? Well, tens of thousands for sure. And today we have one more addition to that scrap metal yard. The Russian RLS, so the radar Kasta, was demolished by Ukrainian artillery system again. Before and after, we can see it on the video that both of those were kaboomed. As you can see, the drone was flying quite high and far away. The distance to the object is 2,700 meters almost. It is 1.7 miles. And here we can see the example of the shrapnel which hit this metal plate. This video was filmed by Russians, and here they show quite thick metal plate which was just cheesed by the clusters, and they complain that Ukraine has lots of those shells and they hit their positions. It basically means that the bulletproof vests will not protect the Russian soldiers. Well, I guess that the shrapnel grenade went off very close to those plates, because those points are close together. We also have some interesting news from the Russian Feodosia port. As I predicted, the fire in a local oil refinery spread across the other fuel tanks. The refinery is located in that place, not far away from the Feodosia port. Well, it is located in Feodosia port itself, and here we have the satellite image before, and this is after. For sure at least 3 or maybe even 5 oil tanks were kaputted, or in this case those are the fuel tanks for the Russian Navy ships, and not only. As you see, Ukraine is capable to target the Russian military infrastructure and also energy infrastructure in occupied territories, and sometimes also on the territory of the Russian Federation. By the time while I'm recording this video, the air raids were announced in Crimea, so they do expect some of the visit from Ukrainian drones. And yes, the fire in the oil storage continues for the 3rd day already. That strike was a gift for the Putin's birthday, and you see Russian kids in the school also decided to greet Putin with his birthday. They formed the letters of the Russian dictator's name, Putin, just standing on their knees. Kids standing on their knees, greeting Putin. This is the cringiest thing I have ever seen. What happened to the Russian society? It is just terrible. And it's all because the Russian teachers, the Russian kids are just getting brainwashed from the very young age. Great news from Russia, done by Russia. The Russian parliament blocked the Discord service. Awesome! Now the service is not working on the Russian accounts. Somehow they were able to build the firewall against Discord. So why did I say that those news are awesome? Well, Russian army uses Discord a lot. Used, it's better to say already. Here you see the Russian soldiers, a big screen and the live chat with the Russian commanders and also the live stream of the video from the drone on Discord. And they used the Discord service for it as well, so Russia just blocked a very important tool for their military. You may say that they might use some of the different channels to access the Discord, but it is not happening. The Russian commanders and soldiers cannot access Discord any longer, and we have the information about it. I have already translated the screaming messages of the Russian military bloggers. At the control point of dozens of units, broadcasts from the drones operating through the closed Discord rooms have been interrupted, thus throwing everyone back to the level of March 2022. So Russia is unable to use their surveillance drones. Well, they can use those, but they cannot share the video information to the troops and basically establish communication with them. Discord was one of the most important Russian tools. Well, sometimes they also use Telegram, but just for the chats. It's not the live information for them. It takes time to type the messages, and we know that Telegram already agreed to give the information about those messages to the intelligence services of the Western countries. Now, after the ban of Discord, we have rolled back to 22. One more military blogger says, was it really fucking impossible to come up with an alternative first and only then block? So Russians really do not have the alternative. I know that Russian military are searching for the possible alternative variants for Discord, and probably the Roblox service is one of their options. Yes, Roblox, the kids game. Here's the example of the Roblox chat. It's called Guided, and here the interface is pretty much the same as in Discord. Well, if Russians start to use this product, maybe this service may ban the Russian army accounts somehow. But you know, after some time, I'm sure that Russian Federation will block this service as well. One more angry Russian blogger. The Discord blocked all streams from the birds, so from the drones to the headquarters fell. Now, instead of completing combat missions, the warriors will invent how to raise all this. To one degree or another, this will affect the results. It means the results in the front lines. Thank you to all of those faggots who made the decision about the blocking. And you know, Steam service is also entered to the list of the prohibited services in the Russian Federation. The same step was done to Discord not long time ago, and now it's been blocked. It means that Steam platform or Steam community as well will be blocked in Russia too. Awesome! Russia blocked absolutely everything. Step away from the technologies which help you actually on the front lines too, sometimes. And here you can see the picture of the Ukrainian command center, which was linked to the internet, and here is also a Discord service open. The commanders of the local units are able to communicate directly live using Discord, and also if there is a necessary video information, it's obviously shared to the Discord as well. Well, actually soldiers use lots of the civilian stuff. For example, this is the Steam Deck console, designed and built for gaming, but since there's the Windows inside, you can put your own program, and here Ukrainian soldier is using it to control this remotely controlled machine gun. The Steam Deck is also being used to control the ground robots. Like for example, this one which Russia spotted recently, it's some sort of the new Ukrainian robot, the ground drone which carries something. Well, it's hard to say what is that from this distance, but this video was filmed on the Russian surveillance drone and shared into internet. Guys, we have some information about the Kursk Oblast. Ukraine still controls the vast part of the land of the Kursk region. However, we know that Russia is pushing Ukrainian forces out, and it seems like we know the idea of why Ukraine started this operation after all. The idea was to exchange the Russian territories for the occupied Ukrainian territories. Well, at least we have this information from the foreign policy. They cite some of the sources in Ukrainian government. The article named Ukrainians hope for a path to victory, in which they stated that the plan of the Ukrainian command was that exchange. Well, after all, Ukraine hasn't taken lots of the Russian territories, and now we see how Russia counterattacks in many of those directions, and I do not see the close-by forecast that Ukraine will take more ground in Kursk. And because Russia took initiative, they will probably not trade those lands for the Ukrainian occupied territories. I think that Putin thinks that he can get rid of the Ukrainian army in Kursk. Well, after all, for him it doesn't really matter. He sends more reinforcements to Ukrainian front lines, and there they take the ground, unfortunately for Ukraine. For this reason, I don't think that this operation of Ukrainian army from the strategic point of view is a successful one, but again, my friends, I could be wrong. Only time may show in the future. But if it is not working according to plan, I guess that Ukraine has a plan B, and probably it's getting ready for some sort of the strike. How it may happen, where it may happen, it all depends on the Ukrainian support and the news which will come in the coming days from the Ramstein meeting on 12th of October. Unfortunately, we have some of the bad news about that as well, because President Biden already said that he will not attend the meeting in Ramstein. Moreover, even Secretary Blinken will stay in the United States. Well, I think that it was crucial for the high officials from the United States, including President, to appear on that meeting, because they may influence the outcome of it. But before elections, this situation is obviously more important, and it's more important for the United States. So I may understand Biden why he canceled his visit, because the part of the country, Florida state, is under the threat from the big hurricane. Hopefully it will calm down. Now it is category 5 and it is predicted to decrease its intensity to category 3 then it hits Florida. I guess it will happen in 24 hours, so people are actively leaving the Florida state. If you are watching me from the state, guys, take care, safety first. You know, guys, I also heard a theory from uneducated people that all of those hurricanes are being created by Democrats. They're using the special weather weaponry against their own citizens. Wow. Yeah, sometimes people believe in absolute madness, like flat earth or something like that. So Zelensky's so-called victory plan is under the big question because Joe Biden pulls out from this very important summit. I think it would be a miracle if Ukraine obtains more long-range missiles and permission to use those after Ramstein meeting. What I expect from the summit are the things as usual, mostly maybe more military support announced already by some of our allies, for example United Kingdom. They agreed the plan for the long-term military support of Ukraine worth more than £4 billion. But still it's not enough because the Russian military budget for the next year is more than 130 billion United States dollars. Just imagine this number. Yes, it is 7 times less than the United States military budget, but still, compared to Ukraine, that number is huge. And for the next year, I honestly do not expect the same military package for Ukraine as it was voted this year. I mean 61 billion United States dollars. You know, I started to see more and more that cringy stuff on X platform and also on TikTok of how United States sent all of their money to Ukraine but hesitate to send their money for the victims of hurricane. And this is the meme about it. A hurricane hit, give us back the aid we sent to Ukraine. Sure, M777 Hotweiser, what I'm supposed to do with that? Because Ukraine obtains not the funds but mostly the military units. The funds for Ukrainian support are being invested into the production of the American military. That is how you support the jobs in the United States. But uneducated people usually think that Ukraine gets tons of money. Uneducated people, I mean one guy with the orange face. So for example, this video on TikTok and on X platform, there are many of those as well. Let's listen to what Donald Trump says about support of Ukraine and hurricane victims.
We're into almost $300 billion for Ukraine, and yet they're offering people $750
for immediate needs.
For the worst, but for the worst hurricane that anybody's seen. But more importantly than that is they don't have the people. They're not doing it. It's a very bad thing.
How would you do it differently?
I'd have a tremendous team of people here. They don't have any people here. The people are all, I was in North Carolina yesterday. I was in Georgia. And Georgia's different. You have a good governor. He's doing a very good job. But North Carolina is a disaster. And it was also hit very hard. But they don't have the people. And they're complaining. There's no people around to help.
So here again, Trump lies directly about 300 billion military or other support of Ukraine. Never ever Ukraine obtained this huge sum of money, even close to it. And also he said that people obtained $750 as the initial support after the hurricane. This is a clear manipulation. So what he is trying to say, that if we do not help Ukraine, you obtain more money in case you will be hit by a hurricane. But the fact that the property in the United States is usually insured, right? So people will obtain, I guess, enough funds maybe to rebuild their homes. And the direct help is obviously awesome, but I'm sure that there are millions of dollars spent to get rid of the circumstances that hurricane brought to North Carolina. And also in his speech, Trump says that Georgia handles it awesome. Well, simply because the governor of Georgia is Brian Kemp, who is a Republican. We might see it over here, red elephant. But the governor of North Carolina, where everything is bad according to Trump, is Roy Cooper, who is from the Democratic Party. You might see it here. So it's not about the actual situation, it's not even close to it. The orange guy uses the natural disaster for his profit, that's it. Trump is definitely a liar, and let me show you again why, especially when he says about the military support of Ukraine. Here's the graph of the United States military support of Israel for all of the time, from 1959 till 2024. So for all of the time, Israel has obtained 251.2 billion United States dollars. And the highest military aid was given to Israel the last year, and this one, $17.9 billion. So according to the Trump speech, Ukraine obtained more military support from the United States than Israel through the entire time of the cooperation between Israeli military and the United States. Crazy. So guys from the United States, would you vote for the open liar who says that Zelensky comes to the United States to just obtain money, who is the best salesman, and he goes back to Ukraine each time with 100 or sometimes Trump says 60 billion United States dollars? It's just crazy. The bad thing that still there are many people who do not understand that stuff and willing to give their vote for the orange guy. Well, after all, it's democracy, right? We'll see the result after the elections. I recommend you to check the Wall Street Journal. They have the article dedicated to cooperation between Putin and Trump, and they say that back in 2020, Donald Trump even secretly sent some of the COVID tests to Putin directly. And the New York Times article about Donald Trump really uncovers the information about the influence of Vladimir Putin's views on Donald Trump, especially the views touching Ukrainian topic. So if Donald Trump gets elected, I do not expect any positive news for Ukraine. The most pro-Moscow country in Europe, well, except Belarus, Hungary, yes. Now they're temporarily the head of the European Commission, and they decided to use their temporary power to pass the credit for Ukraine, and we are speaking about 50 billion euros. Again, it is not a direct help, but it's a credit, which partially should be covered by the Russian money, Russian assets, which are frozen in the European Union and in the United States. But since Russia has good contacts with Hungary, they decided to push their partner, and now this program is frozen for Ukraine. I wonder why Hungary is still in the European Union. The part of the funds will be given from the European Union, the part from the United States, and also there's Japan, United Kingdom and Canada. So totally 50 billion, but for now it's impossible to credit Ukraine. The Putin's puppets in action again, and Hungary says that it wants to wait for the election results in the United States. Politicians, especially those, do not care about human lives, and this is not Orban. Yes, it's the representative of Hungary in the European Union. I don't freaking care about his name. What's about the Kamala Harris? Well, she said that she will not talk to Putin directly if she gets elected as the next United States president, but she will try to resolve the Ukrainian war. On the question about the Ukrainian membership in NATO, she didn't answer directly. So if I speak about the United States politics in general, I don't see a really good possibilities for Ukrainian military support. I mean, with a huge military support. I think that for Ukraine, Harris will continue the previous policy of Joe Biden, giving Ukraine some of the weaponry, pretty much enough for defense, but not enough for the counteroffensive, for the big counteroffensive operations. But if Donald Trump gets power, probably it will be over for the military support of Ukraine from the United States at least, but also United States may push other allies of NATO countries countries to stop military support of Ukraine, and there are many experts are saying about it. And we see the rhetoric which is coming from the Trump's team and from Trump himself, that definitely he is oriented to seize the military support. For this reason, the future elections in the United States are damn important. Maybe for Ukraine they are even more important than for the United States themselves. About the French Mirage 2000 airplanes, it was the confirmation that France is definitely going to transfer those airplanes to Ukraine at the beginning of 2025. The final number of the units is yet unknown. I guess it will be up to 10 airplanes, yes, not a lot, but they will be transferred with air-to-ground weaponry. So in this case, I guess they will be used mostly as the tactical bombers. Mirage 2000 is great, absolutely fantastic airplane, but it's a little more complicated compared to F-16. It requires more training, that's what I heard, but after all, why not? Hopefully Ukraine will get many airplanes. Obviously it's better to concentrate on a single airplane type, but the quantity of the airplanes also matters. So if Ukraine doesn't have enough F-16s, it's better also to focus on the possible alternatives like, for example, Mirage 2000 or Gripen. To some of the other news, Netanyahu confirmed that they caputed one more Hezbollah leader. I think it was already the third one. Hezbollah changes its leaders very fast, and maybe it's the worst managing position in the world, because this kind of the job really may influence the life expectancy. It's really not healthy. While at the same time, Israel continues movement on the ground. It uses many of the divisions. Israel chose the proper time for it because the leadership of the Hezbollah movement, well, basically there is no leadership. The defense is disorganized, and Iran tries to put everything back together, but it doesn't work at this stage. About the possible Israeli response on Iranian strike, well, now the media noise dropped a little. Everyone was waiting for the response like 2 days ago, but it didn't happen. Guess I want to review the situation in Pokrov's direction because I little forgot about it. So there's just a minor change. It happened over here, so yesterday and today, well, actually the day before yesterday, and this change happened for the 48 hours. So Russia moved a little over here, and also in Jelane Persha, so yesterday, today, just a little. I mean, the intensity of the movement slowed down for the last couple of days, but still they're capable to take the ground. That's because they broke through the main Ukrainian defense lines, which were in Avdiivka at first. And yet we don't have the confirmation that Russian forces moved in Zaporizhia direction as they stated yesterday, so the information presented was open fake. Just to remind you, Russians say that they went to the Pauna village, but it wasn't confirmed. My friends, I'm gonna keep you updated on the situation in Ukraine. Now please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so you help me a lot, and as usual I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.